Golf, baseball, softball, fitness, soccer, you name it, Platigan Sports in Grand Island has got it. Stop by to buy, sell, or trade used fitness equipment. Trade in and trade up at Platigan Sports.
Welcome to the first edition of In the Hoop. I'm George Ayoub from theindependent.com with Bobby Mills. Elisa Reese behind the camera. It's December. I've got my Snoopy Christmas tie on here. We're ready to rock and roll here. We're going to talk about some high school basketball, about the upcoming season, boys and girls, and we're going to get started right away out of the chute with the Class A Islanders here, city teams. They're going to be returning all their starters because they had no seniors on the team last year.
That's exciting to hear.
So Jeff Hofelt, he's got a year under the belt of for all these kids, and they were 3-20 last year, so they took their lumps, but. As we saw on their football team, they took a lot of those kids took their lumps as juniors and came back and made the semifinals in football.
Yep.
Hofelt's hoping he can repeat that. I'm looking for Pierce Allman and Lane Ewing to be the scorers on this team.
I think so, and those two Sudanese kids can contribute. I don't know their names, and if I did, I probably wouldn't pronounce them right, but both of them have good hops.
Good hops. And one of the things about the Islanders last year, they were so young that I think the weight room is going to make a huge difference.
Yeah.
They just matched up against, they were younger kids, so they were matching up against older, bigger, stronger guys. The lane was really tough for a lot of them.
Oh, some of those people, like the Morrow boy, took a frightful beating, and we saw that when Southeast came in. But that weight room should help.
Now, Eli Hunter is transferred to Central Catholic. We'll talk about the Crusaders here in just a minute. But so that takes away their point guard. But Eli had a tough year with injuries last year, so he was kind of in and out of the lineup. So I don't think it's going to be a big stretch. It'll be interesting to see if where they're going to put Pierce Allman to play him at the 2. They can find a point guard, then that'll free him up to shoot.
Oh boy, that's scary because he's got a nice stroke.
Yeah, and he's a great player. And so last year I think Pierce was they had him. He had to do a lot of things.
He did. He rolled.
He'd bring the ball up. He was their shooter, and so. But I think the arrow is definitely pointing up for the Islanders this year as they come back from the 3-20 season. They open at the Platte River Classic. That's a Grand Island and North Platte. I'm not sure where they're going to open, whether it's home or not.
Oh, yeah, okay. And I didn't know who the fourth team was. I thought it was Creighton Prep at one time, but it isn't.
I thought it was an Omaha team, too, but I wasn't able to get that. So, out on North Road, the Grand Island Northwest Vikings, they were 20-6 last year, had a great season.
They did.
Ryan Rathke's boys in black and gold could really get up and down the court, played some pressure defense. Now, they've lost some seniors last year who were really quick and really excelled in that system, but they've got some big kids. I think they're going to change their style of play.
They'll have to, George. We talked about that, and Alex Larson and Waters are gone. That's the speed. They have the bigs inside though, 3 pretty good sized fellas, and I don't, the 3-point shooting should suffer, without, and although Dahlcotter can get out there and pop it.
But when you bring Dahlcotter out, and he's 6'6", I think.
Oh yeah.
They'll bring Dahlcotter out, then you're losing one of those kids underneath. So it'll be a balancing act, I think, for Coach Rathke. But he needs to find some points out there from the 1 and the 2s and get the ball inside, and I think they're going to be okay.
Sure, I do too.
So Central Catholic, new coach Tino Martinez.
Yep.
Relative of yours.
Yeah, it should be exciting.
And of course, as we said, Eli Hunter is transferred over, so Eli will be wearing the blue and the royal blue, powder blue, all kinds of blues, whatever blue they have. And he'll have 2 offensive weapons to get the ball to. Johanna Gaifan, the big kid inside. Johanna's 6'4" and about 250.
And that's what he's up to now, I think.
And he's Johanna's really, as we like to say, grown into that body. He's a bit of a man in there, so he's going to take up space. He'll board well.
He will.
And he's getting better all the time with his footwork and his hands. So I think he's going to be a force. Then outside, Brett Weens, last year as a sophomore came in and knocked down some threes. And so, that's going to be a tough for opponents. They're going to have to decide how they're going to play that. So I think Tino's going to have a good offensive group there to go with.
I think so. That's a great situation for a coach to be in.
Yeah, to step in. And, of course, Tino having a long time assistant to Bill Gavers, they'll play great defense too.
Yep.
So
Yep.
they'll find a couple more pieces of the puzzle. The Crusaders could be looking at a really good season.
They're expecting a good season this year, so the inside-out thing, tough to guard. So
Right.
we'll
Yeah,
see.
we'll see.
They get started early this week with 3 games, I guess.
Yeah, they were 13-12 last year, and so they hope to improve on that going into the 2013-14 season. Our friends, the Hornets, Red Hornets down at Heartland Lutheran, they lose Isaac Splatstosser, the do-everything player for Coach Wagnitz down there. Isaac could bring the ball up, he could post up, he did it all.
Yep, he might shoot
drive,
in,
yeah. And so they lose him, and he's gone on to play some college basketball. But as you said earlier, before we go on the air here, Coach Wagner is going to play the up-tempo style.
That's what he likes. He figures he can get those kids into shape, and they might be rusty to start, but they usually come together and figure things out. But that trigger man is really important. Like you said, it's going to be tough to.
And one of the things that I've noticed just watching their ball games is that they like to run, but they don't always settle for layups. They like to spot up and hit the three.
Remember that little 3-point shooter that in the reserves? I can't think of the kid's name, but there's your man that'll bring the ball down
and
court.
we saw him playing the reserve games, and so I'm sure that they'll put some points up on the board.
I think so. Yeah.
One thing about Heartland Lutheran, and we'll talk a little bit more about this on the girls' side of it, is that they moved from D2 to D1. They played a D1 schedule, but again, that's just a little bit of a change, and the NSAA will change some of that scheduling when you're in when you're in D1. I know they have Blue Hill on the schedule,
Oh, my.
a tough C2 team.
Yeah, and that really makes a difference at district time.
Yeah, it
because
really does.
D1 districts are tougher than D2 most of the time.
It really is. So that kind of gives you a little bit of a look for what to expect on the boys' side for the city schools. We'll be back after this break, talk about girls' basketball.
Do you want to trade in your used fitness or sports equipment? How about sports apparel? All your answers are at Play It Again Sports in Grand Island, where you can trade in and trade up at Play It Again Sports.
We're back in the hoop. George Ayoub with Bobby Mills, Elisa Reitz, our producer director behind the camera, not paying attention right now.
I'm trying.
I didn't mean.
Is it like this, George? I got to get out of this mode here.
She's doing great.
She's doing.
Thanks, Elisa.
Does well.
Girls basketball side for the city schools. 2 new coaches. One at senior high. Alex Michael takes over for a long time. Basketball, legend in Grand Island.
That's for sure.
Kelly Jeffries, Kelly Benson.
That's what we know
as
her.
the player,
Oh,
as the player, state champion, and then terrific coach. And so Kelly's not coaching anymore. Alex Michael is going to come in, inheriting a team that went 6-17 last year. A very young team, not much experience. So it'll be interesting to see how what he wants to do with that crew, because if you watch those girls play volleyball, there's some good athletes out there.
Definitely.
And a lot of those same girls play basketball. So Mackenzie Fife, I know, will probably be his point guard. Mm-hmm. She's heading off to Wichita to play volleyball, but she's a good athlete. So
definitely.
he's got some pieces of the puzzle there to work with, and I think the Islanders could surprise some people here.
It's going to be interesting because I don't know what he likes to run, so it's going to be kind of a nice surprise to see what they do. And they've got the athletes, Mm-hmm. So I think both the boys and the girls can double their wins this year easily.
Yeah. Out of Northwest, of course, we have the defending state champion Vikings, and they're going to be loaded again. Mackenzie Brown, of course, has already signed to play at UNK, and one of the finest high school shooters I've seen in a long time.
Good fit for her there.
But she's a complete player. She passes the ball well, and she boards well and plays good defense. Around her, Katie Plocky is back, and she is, and Katie, of course, just a terrific athlete, can do just about anything on the basketball court.
She can.
So that's a great 1-2 punch, and of course, I don't want to leave anybody out. I can't mention everybody, but they have a great supporting cast as well. So
they do. They'll be awful tough again, and plus they'll be probably better than they were last year, which is hard to.
They will have a target on their back.
Oh, they will,
as the defending state champions. So I look forward to seeing the Vikings.
I will too.
I think they'll be doing some great things. Another new coach over at Central Catholic for girls basketball, James Lowry, takes over for Andy Anspaugh. The Crusaders went 7-16 last year, and so James has some work to do there. We'll see, what the new attitude, the new offense, the new defensive schemes.
Fresh start.
It's a fresh start, and that can't hurt. So I'm anxious to see how the Crusader girls, how they come out and play basketball.
They'll be tough. I think James, Big Daddy Lau's what we call him, and he's done boys coaching. He coached out at Cozad, so he knows the game. And it'll be interesting, as will senior high, to see what kind of approach they take. Right. Fresh start for both schools, so I'm looking forward to it a lot.
And you know, and one of the things you have to do is get the kids to buy into that fresh start and new energy, and so it should be exciting. We look forward to watching them play. And of course, as we said, Heartland Lutheran went 2-19 last year. I think they'll be much better. You know, Terry Fredrickson down there coaching the girls. You know, we saw them play. They had some good athletes. They have some good pieces of the puzzle. Again, they're moving to D1, and
they've got tall girls,
and they have size.
Yes,
and we'll see if if they can pound that ball inside. I think they're going to have an advantage, whether or not they play the D1 schedule or not. Because you know, you have a 6-foot girl to play in D1 or D2, she has a huge advantage.
Oh yes.
Night in and night out, you're not going to have kids that can guard. So
you don't have to jump either when you're 6 foot and you're a girl.
Yeah, so we'll see if they kind of pound that ball inside. You know. Again, the Heartland Lutheran, both boys and girls, they play tough schedules.
They do.
They never shy away from getting it on.
Makes you better, George. You know that.
It really does. So it's kind of a little overview of boys and girls. We're going to be broadcasting 8 different dates, high school basketball for the city schools. We're going to start December 20th. Fremont, who has a good big kid.
How about the girls? You know who they have, don't you? The Shepherd girl.
Yes. So Fremont boys and girls will be in town, so that will be...
oh, I can't wait for that one.
Yeah, that's going to be really a great way to start the season. We're going to see some good basketball that night. And so we'll be doing that game. Those games are brought to you by Dinsdale Automotive. In the Hoop, as was our End Zone Online, brought to you by Play It Again Sports. We appreciate that. And so we'll be back again next week. We'll talk about... as basketball starts this weekend, we'll have some scores and some things to talk about as we look forward to the 2013-2014 basketball season. We'll see you then on In the Hoop. I'm George Ayoub with Bobby Mills. See you next week.
Golf, baseball, softball, fitness, soccer, you name it, Play It Again Sports in Grand Island has got it. Stop by to buy, sell, or trade used fitness equipment. Trade in and trade up at Play It Again Sports.